Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 17, which is entitled as Shraddha Tri-vidhaḥ Yoga, the three types of faith. Sloka 23. Om Tatsatiti nirdeśo brahmaṇas tri-vidhaḥ smṛtaḥ brāhmaṇās tena vedāś yajñāś vihitāḥ purā. So far, the threefold classification of Vedic sacrifices, austerity, charity, on account of the differences in the gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, has been elaborated. Now, this last section of this chapter explains another threefold classification. Om Tat Sat. Krishna here states that now he is going to speak of the one which is common to all three kinds of Vedic rituals. That is, how this Om Tat Sat is associated with the Vedas, the karmas that explained in the Vedas, and the Vaidikas, the follower and practitioner of those karma which is explained in the Vedas. Let's learn the meaning of the sloka. Om Tatsatiti. This syllable Om, syllable Tat, syllable Sat, tri-vidhaḥ, threefold, nirdeśo, expressions, brahmaṇas, associated with the Vedas, which in turns represents the Supreme Lord Himself. Smṛtaḥ is considered to be tena, to be associated with that threefold phrase Om Tat Sat. Brahmaṇas, the brahmanas, those who recite the Vedas. Vedāś, the Vedas. Yajñāś, the Vedic sacrifices, etc. Purā vihitāḥ, were ordained by me in the past. That is, at the time of creation, it is me who created the Vedas, the Veda karmas, and the brahmanas, the three varnikas who recites the Vedas, so they can perform the karmas mentioned in the Vedas with these three shabda Om Tat Sat. From the beginning of creation, the three words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the Supreme Absolute Truth. These three symbolic representations were used by brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas and during sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. What Krishna is saying here is these three terms Om, Tat and Sat are considered to be connected with the Veda. Those who recite the Vedas, the Vedic hymns and the Vedic sacrifices and other rituals are associated with these terms Om, Tat and Sat, as established, as ordained by me. For any Vedic ritual, one must start by uttering Om. Om is present in the Vedas. It is present in the karmas. Karmas means not the reaction karma. In this context, it is the actions that prescribed in the Vedas. That is also called karma, the duties, the activities. So, the Vedas, it is present in the Vedas, it is present in the karmas, and it is present with the Vaidikas. Vaidikas are those who performs the karma as per the Vedas by uttering Om. How is that it is associated with the Vaidikas? Again, Vaidikas means those who follow the Vedas, those who are qualified to recite the Vedas and perform the karmas. Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas. So when studying the Vedas, one start by saying Arihi Om. Likewise, when one starts the karmas, one says Om. It is the priest, one who does the karma as per the Vedas. Therefore, the Om is also associated with the Vaidikas, the brahmanas, one who performs the karmas as prescribed in the Vedas. So when Krishna says tena to be associated with these three phrases, syllable, Om, Tat, Sat, what are the three things? Number one, it is associated with the Vedas. Number two, it is associated with the karmas that mentioned in the Vedas. Number three, it is associated with the Vaidikas who follows the Vedas to perform the karmas. And how did they get associated? It is by the Lord who established that let these three phrases Om, Tat, Sat be associated with the Vedas, with the karmas mentioned in the Vedas, and with the person who performs the karmas as prescribed in the Vedas. Om is common for any karmas, either for one who is desiring for Swarga Phalam, wanting to go to heavenly planet, or one who is interested in the Moksha Phalam, one who wants to be liberated from this material world. For both cases, Om is common, which should be uttered to attain either of the phalam, the fruits. Whereas Tat, when it is uttered, it gets the Brahman, the absolute truth, that is Krishna himself. When Tat is uttered for those karmas that only focuses on getting the Moksha Phalam, Vedas has both, which gives Swarga Phalam or Moksha Phalam. When those karmas which are mentioned in the Vedas focuses on the Moksha Phalam is chanted with Tat, then the end result that one receives is the absolute truth. There are sections in Veda and Vedanta which only speaks about Moksha Phalam. Those sections of karmas which only gives Moksha Phalam are for those who are interested and inclined to attain moksha. Therefore, such karmas should be uttered with Tat. That does not mean that one should simply say Tat, Tat, Tat. What it means is one has to do the karmas by chanting Om Tat. Om is common in either cases. Then for those who are interested only in material things, either in this current world that they are in or the heavenly planets, then they must utter Sat. One more time, for those who are interested in moksha, they chant Tat, whereas those who are interested in material things or material benefits either in this world or heavenly planet, they utter Sat. Again, not just Sat, 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 Om Sat. As we can see that Om is always prefixed with either Tat or Sat. If it is prefixed with Tat, it gives the moksha. When it is prefixed with Sat, it gives Swarga, the heavenly planet. There are sections in the Vedas which gives Swarga Phalam. Those sections of karmas which are mentioned in the Vedas only gives Swarga Phalam. Those who are interested in obtaining heavenly planet, they utter Sat, Om Sat, when they perform such karmas as mentioned in the Vedas. Om is the base for any auspicious things. Veda starts with Om, Omkara Prabhava Vedaha. It is said, Kim Nama Mangalam Na Kritam. Without uttering Om, what auspicious karmas can be done? It is only by uttering Om one gets all auspicious results. Also, one must commence the Vedas with uttering Om and should end the Vedas by uttering Om. It is like the lid on both sides to protect the Vedas. Yo vedādho svaraproktah vedanteja pratishtitah tasya prakriti līnasya ya praharsya maheshwarah. It is at the beginning and the end of the Vedas that the Pranava mantra Om is chanted, that which establishes the Lord Himself and is a sound representative of the Lord. There is no difference between both. By reciting it, one gets the Lord Himself. The learned consider Om as a sound representation of the Lord Himself. Even when one is submitting oneself to the Lord, one must do that by uttering Om. We studied this in the 8th chapter, 11th sloka as well. Yadaksharam vedavido vadanti vishanti yad yatato vitaraha yad icchanto brahmacharyam charanti tatte padam sangrahena pravakshye. Whereas there are other class of people who utter the Om to achieve other material benefits, leaving aside the Lord. So two types. One who utters Om to attain the Lord, whereas another one utters Om to attain material benefits. Here in the sloka, brahmaṇah, which represents the Supreme Lord, also has another meaning. Brahma refers to Vedic rituals as well. It is well known that these three terms, Om, Tat, Sat, indicate the Supreme Lord Himself. So when Krishna says Om Tat Sat iti nirdeśo brahmaṇas tri-vidhaḥ smṛtaḥ, it refers to the Supreme Lord by these three terms, but also it represents the Vedic rituals. Whereas brahmaṇās, which is also been used here in the second half of the sloka, brahmaṇās tena vedāś yajñāś vihitāḥ purā. Here, brahmaṇas refers to the classes of people who are eligible for acts connected with the Vedas. It is not just the Brahmana caste, it also includes Brahmana, Kshatriya and Vaishyas. They three are eligible to perform the Vedic rites. All these three classes of persons eligible to chant the Vedic hymns, they should utter these three terms, Om, Tat, Sat. So what we have seen so far in this sloka is Om is common for either for one who is interested in the Swarga Phalam or towards the Moksha Phalam. Whereas Om Tat are that for those who are specifically interested in the spiritual Phalam. And Om Sat are for those who are interested only in material gains. It is actually said that all the Vedic mantras are actually referring or pointing towards the Supreme Lord. This is confirmed in Kathopanishad, which says, Sarve Vedaha yat padam amananti, tapamsi sarvani chayat vadanti, yadichanto brahmacharyam charanti, tatte padam sangrahena bravimi, omiti etat. Also the same Upanishad says that the Pranava mantra Om gain whatever one wishes. When this Om is identified with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna and meditated upon, it is indicated as one attain that Krishna himself. Edat evaksharam brahma ityat evaksharam param. Edat evaksharam nyatva yo yadichati tasya tat. One last point before we conclude this sloka. Initially, we saw that during the creation, the Vedas, the karmas that's mentioned in the Vedas, and those who perform the Vedic rituals are created by the Lord. What we need to understand is that the Vedas are not created, it is eternally present. But at the time of creation, it is imparted to Brahma, the first created being, from whom this knowledge is transferred to others. It's like in the 4th chapter, 13th sloka, we read Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam, where Krishna said, I created the 4 caste, which means he ordained or appointed them. Likewise, the Vedas are also ordained by instructing to Brahma and others. It is not to say that Vedas were not existing before creation, it was created during the creation. That is not the right way of understanding. Vedas are eternal. Never it was created. In the next verses, Krishna proceeds to speak about the nature of the connection between these syllables and the 3 classes of people, the Vedas and the Vedic rituals. First, he takes up Om in 24th sloka, and in 25th sloka, Tat has been discussed, and in 26th sloka, Sat is being discussed. In the next sloka, we will learn how the syllable Om connects to the 3 classes of people. Om Tat Sat Iti nirdeśo brahmaṇas tri-vidhaḥ smṛtaḥ brāhmaṇās tena vedāś yajñāś vihitāḥ purā. Namaste. Hare Krishna.